Welcome, new recruits, to the Traveler's Academy for Retroactive Dimensional and Interspatial Exploration, where we teach you the essentials of how to dress and behave on your time travel expeditions. Today, we will be covering protocol for dress should you at any point find yourself traveling with an infant, because while the 21st century trained mind might default to dressing your boys in blue and girls in pink to communicate its gender, this concept is presently less than 100 years old. The gender designation of colors has been hotly contested throughout much of history, and in many cases included other colors entirely. So the dressing of your infant must be carefully considered before embarking on your journey. Our agents have gathered evidence of color being used for gender representation as early as the 17th century, where visitors reported that locals in Holland would decorate their doors following a birth. This let the neighbors know not to bother the family or to wake the household, which incidentally also seemed to work on tax collectors. The decoration could be themed with specific colors such as blue, pink, red, or white to represent the gender of the new child, thus saving a knock at the door for the neighbor to ask. But reports as to which color represented which gender are mixed. White for girls and pink for boys, red for boys and blue for girls, pink for girls, and white for boys. We so far understand that these color choices may have had religious or cultural origins, white symbolizing purity, blue evoking calm or demureness, and red or pink symbolizing strength, aggression, or emotion. And this is something we continue to see evidence of well into the 19th century. Prior to the birth of their child in 1856, Napoleon III and Eugenie were reported to have chosen blue-themed clothing because of its association with the Virgin Mary, in the hopes of invoking her protection over the child. It is important to note that, historically, gender-specific coloring is employed largely in the birth announcement rather than in the clothing of the baby itself, since throughout much of history, infants are dressed in genderless white gowns until the ages of around 4 to 6. This makes the changing of diapers and doing laundry infinitely easier. There's no need for you to worry about the dyes fading or running in the wash, as wardrobe are not authorized to provide you with dye-fast, chemically dyed garments for journeys preceding the 1850s. We must, of course, consider that back before the widespread adoption of the sewing machine in the 1860s, clothing is sewn by hand, which means that an assortment of garments would have had to have been made well before the birth. And as we must make do without ultrasound or gamma reflectometry scans for these destinations, there is simply no way to prepare clothing in advance for a specific gender. Trimmings can be added to gowns with popular colors including blues, pinks, or yellows, but our reports do not note these with enough consistency for them to have been associated with a specific gender. So as of the 19th century, we still do not yet have the 21st century code determining blue for boys and pink for girls. Instead, we find that blue and pink can mean entirely opposite things in different regions, and that many people simply choose colors based on what looks best with their baby's complexion. Entering the 20th century, and we see the introduction of new, especially color-fast synthetic dyes, which wouldn't fade as easily with washing. So by the 1910s, it becomes more and more common to dress infants in colors. Those old white lace gowns are firmly going out of style by the 1920s, and we now see a desire for fun, fashionable colors in children's clothing. Since we are no longer adhering to the previous standard of uniformity in infants' dress, we inevitably begin to see a gender divide, and subsequently, a lot of confusion. Which colors are masculine and which are feminine is hotly debated. Sources throughout the mid to late 19th century contrast wildly, and in 1929, a survey of department stores was conducted for American publication The Modern Baby Book to settle the matter once and for all. What we find is a complete mix of responses as to whether blue should be for girls and pink for boys, or vice versa. Things did ultimately settle toward the present system around the late 1930s, and this more unified idea was spread internationally with the help of color advertising. Still, there has been some pushback against the current blue and pink system, with some psychology studies in the 1970s suggesting that bold, bright colors are better for children than the uniform pastels most frequently employed. But blue and pink had already taken a firm grip on Western society, coasting smoothly into the 21st century en route to a 100-year reign. As for whether these colors will maintain their status for another 100 years, well, that would be spoilers. In the meantime, do try not to set any more forests on fire.